It appears that Jake Paul is not going to fight Anthony Joshua, and instead he is going to fight Tank. I'll get to the Tank side of it in a minute because that's the more let's just say, I think for pretty much the whole boxing community, that is the side that people actually matters. But let's just, let's humor me a little bit with the Jake Paul perspective, because I have to commend Jake Paul. He is fighting someone who's actually not of pensionable age. I mean, we have to applaud him for that. Okay, I'm taking the piss a little bit. But he's actually fighting someone who's a legitimate fighter. Now, yes, it's an exhibition, and I don't understand. I mean, outside of the outrageous and very minute weight difference, why on earth couldn't they sanction this as a professional bout? I mean, if Jake Paul can get an official fight with Mike Tyson at this stage of Mike Tyson's life, why on earth can't we have an officially sanctioned bout with Tank Davis? I mean, let's be honest, boxing pretty much in all of its rules have been how to put it, I've lost the words, but boxing's rules can be twisted in so many ways, as we've seen. So why the hell is it not a sanctioned fight? But that aside, a very interesting thing will be, and while most of us think that Jake Paul's fights are effectively staged because of how the fights themselves play out, and it's very hard not to think like that, despite everything that he says to deny it, if Tank does not throw a legitimate punch or does not attempt to hurt Jake Paul, then we will know 100% that Tank will have been paid off probably ridiculous amounts of money, and Jake Paul will come out of that fight unscathed. And yeah, it will definitely be staged if that happens. Now to the other side of it. Why the hell are you fighting Jake Paul, Tank? Honestly, what the hell are you doing? Now, I understand that fighters sometimes have, well, not sometimes, fighters have, multi-fight deals, and this may be the case here, but you do not, and I repeat, you do not do this. You do not do this, because this raises the arguments more for him to be stripped of his title, and this cannot but put him in such negative light. I'm sorry. This puts him in such a bad position in the perspective of him in the boxing community. So this makes Roach look absolutely incredible right now, and I think he put out a tweet or a social media post basically with like ducking emojis, and it does look like that. Honestly, it really does, and you cannot help but think that, especially since it's not, clearly doesn't look like it's going ahead, despite the fact that he might have a deal in somewhere in the future, but still. And there is, without a shadow of a doubt, you cannot, like every Tank fan obsessor, I'm sorry, you cannot defend Tank here. He should have been lost, he should have a loss in his record with this fight. He should have lost, I just get really agitated thinking about it, because it's absolutely criminal. Now, when they fought, and when, he took that knee, there was a legitimate shot from Roach, and then there was also the knee, and while he may have had something in his eye, right, that referee needs to be checked for something. He had to have been checked. I mean, my goodness, that was an egregious. I don't know. I can't think of any other word, but that decision to not start counting, never in my life. There should have been more, and this is what really really annoys me, is why was there not more of an uproar in the boxing community when this happened? People should have pinned this fight and keep on clamoring for the right outcome, because it was all there for us to see. But I'm being sidetracked here. Now, another thing, right? I don't know if many people have seen this, and I can't believe I'm going to say it, but it's absolutely ridiculous. People are actually saying, and these are the words I quote, "Let Tank get his bag." This is a sort of garbage BS things I'm hearing his fans say to try and justify this course of action. He has made plenty of money. I'm going to bring up the Roach thing again, but I'll refrain from that. The big thing is that this, despite there being suggestion that yes, he'll have multi-fight deal or whatever, he'll fight in 2026, but the fact that he's not even said that, okay, I'm going to have this fight with Jake Paul, and then next year I'm going to fight X, Y, and Z. Give us actual names of who you're targeting next year. At least then I would have been, while I still would have been pissed and probably had a similar reaction to what I am having now, at least I would have been able to hang my hat on those things that we're going to see next year, because I have all these thoughts in my head about how a fight with Shakur would play out and how his rematch with Roach would go, because it's like, would Tank be able to get to Shakur? How would Shakur react? And all these really, like, big questions and exciting questions in that matchup. And obviously all the controversy that we've seen in the Roach first fight. How would he approach the second fight differently? And all of these things, sadly, may not get answered, because usually what we see is people will say one thing and then what they maybe intend to happen doesn't happen, and sometimes they do a whole 360 or 180 on their decisions, and everything just goes up in flames, and it's a real shame, because I just feel like that may happen, despite there perhaps being reports saying that, Tank next year will be back in business and whatnot, blah blah blah. But you get what I'm saying. It's a really, really bad look for Tank, and it will look even worse, going back to what I said earlier, if this fight doesn't actually play out in in a professional manner. I know obviously it's an exhibition, but if there's clearly some money incentive behind it for it to play out in a certain way and a certain outcome to occur. So yeah, all of these things, and at the end of the day, Tank is undefensible in this moment, or indefensible, whatever the hell the word is. My words are all eluding me right now. Yeah, he is in a really, really negative picture.